Hello, welcome to series part 3, next steps once the FAFSA is complete. Once both the student and the contributors have completed both parts of the FAFSA, the student is able to see the FAFSA submission summary page. On this page, there are 4 different tabs that the student can take a look at. An example of some of these tabs is shown here. One of them being the eligibility overview, or being able to see what types of aid the student could be eligible for, such as the Pell Grant, federal direct loans, and work study. Notice on the right-hand side at the very bottom, the student can see what their SAI is, which is a number which can go to as low as negative 1,500 and as high as 999,999. The student can also see on the left, for instance, school information, as well as next steps and what they answered on the FAFSA. Things that will happen after the FAFSA has been completed is receiving financial aid offers. Now, each school does have their own timeline, so this can differ from school to school. On that financial aid offer, what the student will see is the cost of attendance, as well as the different types of financial aid that they're eligible for listed by program, and the net cost to attend, as well as next steps to finalize the offer by school. What the student should do is they should take time to really review that financial aid offer, read through it, and see what it says. Then each school would expect them to either accept or decline the financial aid offer, and each school has their own designated way to do that. Some expect you to log into a particular portal to be able to view it and accept it, or other schools might want them to actually sign a piece of paper and send it in. If a school is requesting additional paperwork, be sure to complete that as soon as possible and send that in, because that might be needed in order to actually finalize their financial aid. If a student has any special or unusual circumstances, the student and family should work with that particular financial aid office to work through that situation. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. If the student is planning on taking out the federal student loan, then the student does have some additional loan documents that they need to complete, like the master promissory note and entrance loan counseling. Those can be completed at studentaid.gov, which is also the FAFSA website. The student might be selected for verification, which is a random process where the student is selected by the federal processor. The student will be alerted if they do need to complete any additional documents. And they might have to just confirm things such as the household size. And if they didn't have their tax information brought through by the IRS, or if something didn't come through completely, they may have to submit additional things such as the federal tax return, or they were maybe selected for identity statements, so they might have to turn in a copy of their driver's license or things like that. If you have any questions, contact the financial aid office to which the university is asking for that, but do not send anything to the actual FAFSA, to the federal processor. Everything would go to the college or university that's asking for this information. So special circumstances and unusual circumstances. If by chance the information that is on your FAFSA does not accurately reflect what your current situation is, it's not at all inappropriate to talk to your financial aid office about the situation. So special circumstances could include things like tuition charges for private schools, K through 12, that siblings are going to, or if you've had extreme medical or dental expenses for your family in the last year that are not covered by insurance. Perhaps if a parent has lost a job or lost income, or if there's been a divorce or a death in the family, things like that. Unusual circumstances are maybe things such as a student that's at risk of being homeless or maybe is homeless, or if there's maybe risk of harm or estrangement from a parent, things of that nature. So those are all things that should be brought up to the financial aid office for the school that you are looking at attending. Special circumstances do not include things like home remodeling, or credit card debt, athletic camps, vacations, or families that are simply unwilling to help pay for college. what to do if you think you're dealing with a special or unusual circumstance, again, is just talk to the Office of Financial Aid for the school that you're working with or schools. They will direct you to what type of documentation they are looking for. And note that each school handles these special circumstances differently, and they have their own prerogative on how they want to complete that. So if you're working with two schools, they might handle things slightly different from each other. A lot of times we're asked about, which parent do we include on the FAFSA if we're divorced or separated or widowed, but maybe we weren't at the time that the taxes were filed. When you complete the FAFSA, it is a snapshot of what is currently happening. So when you complete that, the student and or parent need to think about what is our marital status right now. If your marital status right now is divorced, even though you weren't in 2023 when the taxes were filed, you want to complete the FAFSA as your marital status is now. So even if the taxes don't indicate that, because the FAFSA and or the financial aid office would work to separate those taxes to help you with that. If it is a divorce situation and you're trying to figure out which parent do we put on the FAFSA, and you are divorced, as I mentioned in other videos, you are supposed to put the parent that provides the most support to the student on that FAFSA. And if that parent that provides the most support is remarried, then that spouse would also go on the FAFSA. If it's a case of one of the parents provides child support, then, whichever parent, again, is providing the most support, even if that student doesn't live with them, that's the parent that goes on the FAFSA. It doesn't matter who claims the child on their taxes, but that might be something that, it has to be figured in when they talk about, whoever's claiming them and how many people are in the family. That might need to be refigured. So again, there's information about this on our website. If you have questions, you can take a look at that on the financial aid page at ripon.edu, or you can talk to the financial aid office of the schools that you're looking at and, ask for help on who should, be the parent of record on the FAFSA. Just some other reminders and helpful hints when you are completing the FAFSA. You should file the FAFSA each year just because eligibility might change, especially if you're getting federal grant aid or state grant aid. And, the FAFSA should open in October in future years, but I guess we never know what's happening. But that is when it should open. The FAFSA will always use prior tax year information, so keep that in mind. And the student can always monitor what's going on with the FAFSA when they log into studentaid.gov. But again, you want to try to finish that promptly. Otherwise, things could disappear in 45 days. And next in the series is just some parting words. So thank you for joining us.